Habits are something that everyone on RuneScape has. Some habits being good like daily activities to make some GP, or bad habits that, no, don't log in, it's a trap, this game will break. What were we? Bad habits? Despite being a leisurely game, RuneScape is full of different activities you can embark on, goals that you can take up, and achievements that you can earn. But with there being so much to do, it can be easy to get overwhelmed or even try to find shortcuts to progression when you start to hit a wall. Today I want to go over some habits that I found to be a hindrance in not only my progression, but many other players as well. The first point is poor use of in-game time. This is probably the biggest offender in most people's game time. This includes things like bankstanding or just mindlessly staring at your screen wondering what you should be doing. RuneScape has a vast amount of goals, some of them taking a huge amount of time, which makes us feel the need to always be online and working towards them. That can be incredibly overwhelming. If you're online and want to progress but don't feel like putting in a lot of effort, find an AFK activity. Most skilling activities are AFK and offer you progress either towards earning gold or earning some achievements. Ultimately though, if you're online out of the feeling of obligation while simultaneously doing nothing, it may just be best to log off and do something else for a while. I find it much more enjoyable when I take myself away from RuneScape a little bit to give myself some time to wish I was progressing on my goal, because the next time I log in, I'll be much more motivated to do so. The next would be buying things that you do not need or things that don't help you progress. Have you ever obtained a record amount of gold in game and thought, I've never had this much before, I wonder what I could buy? I felt that a ton last year. I've always been a player that gets by on the bare minimum until I've realized how much benefit there is to saving your GP to fund your big goals. My biggest grind to date was Bow the Last Guardian. I've never farmed up that much money for a single item in almost 20 years of playing this game, and I can guarantee you that the temptation to spend money on things like RuneScape was at a major high. I had multiple chances to buy a shadow dive for anything that I wanted, but I really had to keep my focus and trust the fact that when I get this upgrade, it's going to be very worth the wait. I can guarantee you now that I have it, that it was, because not only did I achieve my goal, but that item is going to help me fund all of my next goals by not only making my current boss encounters faster, but learning other bosses should ideally become easier. The next point, and probably the most important point, is selling your gear to either buy other gear or make side grades. And my past self is a major offender of this. As you get into the later stages of upgrading to a specific combat style, the upgrades become more and more expensive, which makes you start to think, would I get more value out of this next style upgrade, or should I sell X item to buy 3 or 4 upgrades for a different combat style? This is very dependent on where you are within your progression, but I can almost guarantee you that most of the time, it's going to be a bad idea. Let's take the example of upgrading from a Noxious Longbow to a Saren Godbow. The Noxious Longbow is around 300 mil, and the Saren Godbow is almost 2 bill. That is a major jump in price for 2 tiers of damage and accuracy, but the Saren Godbow special attack is what makes it worth its price. Let's say you also have about 700 mil saved up towards your goal, and selling the Noxious Longbow would put you at about 1 billion GP. With range being your only combat style, you could downgrade your Noxious Bow to a tier 87 Decimation and get the tier 90 Seismic so that you have a decent setup for both magic and ranged. So, you sell the Noxious Longbow and go that route. In this example, you've actually set yourself back. Yes, you have a tier 90 setup for magic now, but you've lost not only 3 tiers of range damage and accuracy, but you are now 2 bill GP away from your goal of the Saren Godbow all over again. You could just resell your purchase, but more times than not, you'll have lost a little bit of money doing so. Not only that, but now you'll either have to relearn the bosses with a different combat style or continue to do them with your main combat style less effectively. Going this route also didn't contribute to making content any easier or more efficient. You just gave yourself another combat option to do the same exact content with. To round all that off, the specific upgrade of the Saren Godbow makes bursting bosses with large hitboxes a lot easier. This would include Zamorak, Raksha, and even Karapak, which are all very profitable boss encounters. If you are planning on using that upgrade to help learn those bosses, you've just put that goal further out of reach. This is all very general, and of course there's many different unlocks that could influence your decision, but this is just an example and you can probably see my point. Piggybacking off my previous point, selling off minimal supplies is also something that has set me back in the past. I don't really have anything other than my personal experience for this, but I will say that there's always a major temptation to sell off any supplies I get from boss drops, only to later rebuy them at a higher price. Just use them. Saving yourself GP is one of the best quote-unquote money makers in this game because it prevents you from spending your money. Look at it like this. If you farm out all of your own supplies, then you'll never have to spend money to do content you like. which means you'll always have an increasing coin pouch. If you have an excess of supplies like 20,000 Torstalls or 100,000 Super Restores, then yeah, maybe selling at that point is beneficial. But if you only have about 50 sets to make a few overloads, just make the overloads and use them at bosses. I guarantee that you will get so much more out of it. This last point is more of a bonus tip because it's very dependent on who you are as a player, and that is playing on multiple accounts. If your goal is to level multiple accounts or just find a lot of easy AFK GP per hour, then this might actually work exceptionally well for you. Speaking from my personal experience, I had an idea to make an alt for making incense sticks AFK to replenish supplies while also earning profit while also PVMing on my primary account. But with how I play, this was very difficult to do effectively and actually took away from my overall experience on my primary account. I love to PVM and do bosses that take a lot of focus, while also challenging myself to do better with every single kill. That makes it very difficult for me to multitask while bossing without making my kills take longer or banking between kills taking longer, which ultimately hurts my progress way more than it helps. So what's your biggest hindrance? The list is fairly personalized to my experience, and in the passing years, just making sure that I've reduced my time bank standing has not only made a big dent in my goals, but improved my overall enjoyment of the game as well. Share some habits in the comments that you see yourself or others doing, and if you've broken some bad habits recently, share how they've helped you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and check out the description for links to my Twitch and Discord channels. Jagex is also taking nominations for the 2022 Golden Gnomes. It has been a goal of mine ever since I started making content for RuneScape 3 to at least be nominated for a Golden Gnome, especially as a new content creator for RuneScape 3. So if you're not already voting for one of your favorite content creators, I would seriously appreciate any nominations for my channel. I also have one more goal this year, and that is to hit 10,000 subscribers on this RuneScape 3 channel. It is a pretty big goal as we just passed 4K just the other day, but I'm setting my sights pretty big this year, and this is just one of those goals. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Rheyo, and I'll see you next time. Take care.